So today we'll learn about AWS EC2. It is called as Elastic Compute Cloud. Okay. So I don't know if everyone knows, but it is also possible to install or create VMs. Okay. So those who doesn't know about VM, it is a virtual machine. The way we installed anything, any OS on our laptop or on a PC. Okay. Same way we can create a virtual machine. Okay, we'll see today how to create a virtual machine in AWS. Okay, and why it is called virtual machine, because it doesn't have any hardware attached to it. Okay, it is just gives us a virtual environment where we'll have virtual CPUs, virtual RAM, virtual disk and all. Okay, and that's what is a virtual machine, and in AWS terms it is called as Elastic Cloud Compute Cloud. Okay, that's why EC2. And using EC2 we'll get a scalable computing. So yesterday we learned, right, scale up and scale down means as per our requirement we can increase the resources like CPU and RAM, or it can be done automatically as well. That's called as scalable computing. So with AWS AC2 we get a scalable computing. So what is the advantage? We do not need to invest in the hardware. Okay, so cloud is meant just for that, right? We do not manage or maintain the hardware. Okay, so that cost is saved for us, and we can launch as many EC2 instances as we want. Okay, and we can configure security on it. We can manage networking, the virtual networking, and even we can manage the storage on it. Okay, so we haven't learned about the security groups now as of now, but during the demo I'll explain. So security group is nothing but when we create a VM or EC2 instance. Okay, so we need to uh, give some, we need to open some ports and all. Okay, otherwise the connection to the EC2 instance will not happen. Okay, that's why it is said, means by default inbound traffic is blocked by security group. Okay, when we create a EC2 instance we need to define EC2 groups. Okay, if we do not define any EC2 group, then the traffic will be blocked by default. Okay, outbound traffic is always allowed by default. Okay, and whenever we make any changes to security group, so generally what we do in security group, we open some ports like port 22 or RDP port or STTP or STTP ports. Okay, so the changes to security group will take effect immediately. We can attach multiple security group to EC2 instance. Okay, and the security groups are stateful. Okay, meaning the inbound rules, okay, automatically allow the corresponding outbound traffic. That means when we open any port, okay, that is applicable for both inbound and outbound traffic. So suppose as the security group name says, we provide some security over the EC2 instance. Okay, then we would like to block some IP addresses that we should not allow traffic from this IP address. Okay, so that's not possible with the security group. For that we'll have to use NACL. Okay, also called as network access control list. We'll learn about this later. Okay, and we define only the allow rules. We cannot define how to deny something. Okay, so whenever we create an EC2 instance, by default everything will be blocked, and one by one we will allow something. Okay, so security group is very important in EC2, that's why it's listed here. And uh, we know that in cloud we pay as we go, or we can say it's also called as on demand. That means suppose I've created a VM or an EC2 instance, I used it for 1 hour or 2 hours, then I'll be billed only for 1 hour or 2 hours. That is called as pay as you go. Okay, and when we shut it down we won't be charged for it. Okay, but uh, this is called as on-demand pricing option. Okay, but apart from on-demand pricing option, there are some other pricing options also available. That is saving plan, reserved instances, spot instances, and dedicated hosts. Okay, so on demand, we know we pay by an hour. Okay, so for this we do not have any long term commitments. You can use any number of hours. Okay, and when we should go for on demand, we do not have, when we do not know for how many days we will be needing this particular instance. Okay, and what is the benefit of it? It is flexible. We can terminate the instance anytime, we can use it anytime. Okay, but it will be costly, the as compared to the other saving plans. Okay, if we have some commitment, this will be costly. Okay, suppose why it will be costly. Suppose even I am using it for 3 years on demand, pay as you go. Okay, then as compared to other plans like reserve instance and saving plan, they are also for 1 to 3 years. This will be costly. If you know in upfront that I'll be using it for 1 to 3 hours, then 3 years, then you should always go for saving or reserve plan. They are meant for long term commitment. Okay, so where we need consistent workload, will predictable uses means we know that we'll be using it for almost 1 to 3 years. At that time we should go for saving and reserve instances. And what is the difference between saving and reserve instances? In saving plans we have some flexibility of choosing which region we can, which type of instance, and where we can uh, have that particular instance. That is not very likely possible in reserved instances. Okay, and we it requires a commitment. If you say that I will use only for 1 month or 2 months or few hours, that is not possible. Okay, similarly, even here in reserve instances we have to pay upfront payment, we need to be do less flexible. Both are less flexible means we cannot we'll have to pay it. Okay, it's not like pay as you go. Then there are some pricing options for spot instances as well. Suppose uh, you need only the computing for some time. Okay, and that is not very means suppose we do not want means suppose due to some reason that EC2 instance shut it down or is terminated, that will not disrupt your production environment. At that cases we go for spot instances only for some computing power. We will bid for unused capacity at reduced prices. That means there will be some instances provided by EC2 instance. For that will have to bid for it. Okay, and after bidding we'll get that EC2 instance at very low prices. Okay, but it may terminate at any time. Okay, it will give a small means notification that it's going to terminate, and it will terminate. So production workload, that means anything which will have an impact, okay, on your application, that should not be there, it should not be used spot instances, but these are very cheap. Then some people also require dedicated physical servers, okay, with control over the placement. Means it is also possible to get some physical servers from AWS. In all these above, okay, we'll get a shared server means along with our VMs or EC2 instances, there will be EC2 instances of some other people as well, or other companies as well, but in a dedicated host we'll get our own proper physical server. Okay, and what are the use cases when we should use, when for regulatory compliance hardware bound softwares. Okay, regulatory compliance means sometimes it is not allowed to host your application on a server where everyone else is also having the applications. Okay, that uh, uh, in such regulatory compliance, this is the perfect use case, but it is very costly. Okay, it is higher costly and very less flexible, and some softwares required hardware only. Okay, like Oracle. Okay, so nowadays it's also possible to install on VM, but some of the softwares need only it runs on the particular hardware, that is a physical server. And what are the benefits? We can decide where we should keep our physical host in which region and all. We haven't learned about region and all, but we have the placement and compliance benefit. Okay. So we'll also learn about AWS region and zone. Okay. So in AWS, as per the region, there are multiple availability zones. So Asia is one of the region or a geographical area. Okay. Then we have UAE. Then we have Australia. Then US. These are all different geographical areas, or these are called regions. And in each region, there will be multiple data centers. Okay, those data centers are called as availability zone. So if we have US region, then in US region also they will segregate east west. Okay, then in each zone, or the like east and west, there will be multiple availability zones. Okay, zone A, zone B, zone C. So every zone or AZ, you can consider it as a data center where our EC2 instance resides. So what are the benefits? Okay, suppose due to some reason availability zone A data center goes down, then our VMs will be made available from availability zone to B. Okay, and even for scalability, it is very much useful for compliance reasons. Suppose I want that my server should be only in particular region, that also it is very useful. So whenever we launch instance, we'll be launching it in a particular region and in a particular availability zone. We can choose it, or automatically it will choose the availability zone, okay, that we will be seeing. But this is important, region and availability zone. So let me log into my AWS console. So I've saved my link here. So don't log in as a root user every day. You have to log in with the IAM user. And in this case, it is a DevOps user, which we created yesterday. And we enabled multi-factor authentication yesterday. So it is asking me for the password. Okay. So if you see, by default, I got a region or US West 2. Okay. So if you see here we have this US region, then the Asia Pacific region, Canada, Europe, and each region you will see US East 1. Okay, these are region. Okay, and inside the region, when we launch something, okay, so when we launch VMs, it will show the option like the availability of the availability zone, like A, B, and C. Okay, so each one you can consider it as a particular data center. So most of the exercises will be doing by default in the default region, that is US East 1. So always remember, when we launch an when you launch an EC2 instance, and if you do not find it, maybe you have launched it in some other region. Okay, so that was a small overview for AWS region and EC2 instances. If you have any questions, let me know.